morning, Ray Freeman here, Ray Freeman Psychotherapy. The first thing I should do is apologize for the background noise. There's somebody mowing outside here, and every so often they'll come close to my garden and then back away. They're not actually doing my lawn, which is a real pity. So here we are, day 3 of my reflections on the overall narcissistic family altogether. So day 3, and today is about comparing the family scapegoat and the golden child. Now the thing is, I had a big meeting with myself and deciding whether we should go into more detail about what the scapegoat is and what the golden child is before we do this one. But you know, this is just an overall pattern, and on day 4 tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to go deeper into both what creates the scapegoat and the golden child. I think when I say those 3 words, you understand what I'm talking about. The golden child that can do no wrong in a family, and the child that can do no right is the scapegoat. So in many dysfunctional families, these two are complementary, and they are obviously opposing roles. But they're not innate qualities of the child themselves. It's about function, about what they produce for the family in terms of reducing stress. It's much easier for somebody that is narcissistic, whether it is a close family, the parents with 2 children or more, or the wider family. It's much easier for them if they have one pillar to blame everything on. By the same token, it's very good for them to have one person that they all think is the wonder. These things sort of stabilize the structure of the family, although they're superficially opposite. One blamed and devalued, the other idealized and protected. Both roles serve similar purposes in the family. And they produce parallel harms as well. Comparing these roles shows us how families allocate blame and praise. So let's have a little bit more into it. Both the scapegoat and the golden child arise from the need of the family rather than the individuals. It becomes personal once these roles are established, and it doesn't stop in childhood. It may start in childhood, but it doesn't actually stop there. It goes into adulthood, even when the scapegoat or the golden child have moved away from the bosom of the original family and are living independently as adults. They will still maintain that position. It's what in psychology we might call homeostasis. It's a level playing field, and everybody knows their role. The scapegoat absorbs all the negativity of the family, fault, anger, shame, while the golden child embodies all the protected perfection, the hope of the family's desire for identity. The golden child functions as an extension of the parental narcissism, and of course their admiration too. They live their life through their child, this golden child. They're often idealized, praised excessively. I was going to mimic, but I decided I'm too serious a person for that. And treated as evidence of the family's worth. They may be used to validate the parents' choices and bolster the social image. The scapegoat, on the other hand, functions as the family's, well, I've written here, lightning rod. By blaming one member for problems, the family avoids accountability and keeps the dysfunctional patterns intact. Yesterday I was talking about divide and rule. This actually helps it. The coexistence of these 2 roles helps the family maintain a simple, protective narrative. We are good because of the golden child, and the problems we all have are because of the scapegoat. Okay. The golden child typically receives preferential treatment over protection, abundant praise. Their achievements are amplified, failures minimized, and their needs are prioritized over everybody else's needs. They may be excused for misbehavior. It may be avoided altogether, and they'll blame the scapegoat for something the golden child did. And the golden child will be shielded from any consequences. They might be polite and accomplished in public, but they're serving as the family showcase. Scapegoat, by contrast, criticized, punished, excluded. Their mistakes are magnified, their success ignored, their behavior interpreted as evidence of character flaws. They may be isolated socially within the family, scapegoated in front of others, denied support. Where the golden child's identity is enforced, reinforced, it may start in childhood, but it remains in adulthood. I've actually said to a client some time ago now, your family don't need a connection with you for you to be the scapegoat. Excuse the colloquialism. They can slag you off even when you're not there. So you don't actually have to engage with that at all. That person separated herself from the family entirely and has never looked back. It's absolutely brilliant. Both these roles, though, shape the identity of the individual. Very different directions, of course. Golden child often internalizes a sense of conditional worth tied to what they may be perceived as achievement. They may grow up believing their value depends on that external validation, I beg your pardon. But essentially, their growth is hampered by never making mistakes and never having to make decisions. This doesn't bode well for the golden child's development, and in lots of cases that I've come across and heard about golden children while working with Scapegoat, the abused, they've gone down a wrong road. They may have achieved something in the social world, even professional careers, but they are poor at making decisions. They very often are addictive in personality, and they get nowhere ultimately, where the scapegoat may internalize the shame and unworthiness and self-blame. They may become hypervigilant, tendency to accept responsibility for events beyond their control. But underneath all of that shame lies a resilience that will be a useful tool in adult life. They may need the help of therapy to uncover it, but it's there. It's what I call T-1. I know it's T-1 to other colleagues of mine may be something completely different, but to me it's T-1. It's trauma minus 1 second. Before the trauma started, this person was there. The trauma doesn't mean anything. The person is still there. We have to uncover it. The golden child, though, may expect deference, maintain controlling behaviors, having been groomed as the favored one, but they may struggle with intimacy when incompetence and vulnerability might emerge. They're also likely to mimic narcissistic behavior. Can you see the road I'm traveling down here? I'm creating for you a behavioral narcissist. Learned behavior from other narcissists becomes behavioral narcissism. On the other side, the scapegoat may carry mistrust towards the family and authority, leading to strained, distant relationships. They will seek to control the exposure and possibly become self-sacrificing and people-pleasing. But many of my clients over the years have held these narcissistic, dysfunctional families at arm's length. And that way they can control the narrative. They can control the transactions that go on between them. They know if they ring to see how their parents are, they're going to get abuse. They're going to get all sorts of issues you haven't achieved, even though they may have well achieved, because X has done it better than you, even if it isn't. We're not very clear about how the roles are selected. A parent's own ambitions might produce a golden child who mirrors the parent's desired way of being, achievements that they haven't achieved themselves. It's an interesting thought that they often live their lives through the golden child because they themselves are poor achievers. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes they're very high achievers in life and society, but they will still create a golden child because of some unfulfilled wish they've had that never came to anything. It's really difficult, that, isn't it? A sibling, though, whose temperament is more challenging or asks uncomfortable questions may be scapegoated, and this may often fall to the oldest child. Very often, not very often, sometimes in families, the first child is the one that they pick on because for some unconscious motive, the parents believe that they get it right the second time or the third time, and they didn't quite get it right the first time. So very often the older child will be the one that is the scapegoat. Now, healing them both involves disentangling the identity from family imposed stuff. The golden child practicing vulnerability, tolerating failure in safe relationships may recalibrate things slightly. Unfortunately, the ones I often hear about, as I've said, are maladapted to change and often addictive in personality and narcissistic in behavior. For the scapegoat, establishing chosen family and stable supports provides corrective experiences, more often keeping contact under their control or deciding no contact, as I've said. Scapegoat and the golden child are the two sides of the same dysfunctional family coin. One absorbs the blame, the other hoards the praise. Both serve the family, the general extended family needs at the expense of authentic development. In my experience, though, the scapegoat fares much better in recovering their self-worth. Understanding their interdependence clarifies a little, and this is why families resist change, because that would be the acceptance of that they've not done things quite right. Therapy, boundary setting, chosen support is, where possible, is the relief for the scapegoat. I think I've said enough for one day. I don't know how long I've been talking. It's long enough. If you want a question, if you have a question for me or you want any contact at all, visit my website, www.rayfreemanpsychotherapy.com. I'm there. If you want a question, write me a question, I'll answer it. I said yesterday, the idea of, I just got this idea in my head about 4 or 5 or 6 sessions of support, which would be more focused. It would be, I'd do it at a reasonable price with maybe, anything between 8 and 10 people. And we'd meet once a week and we'd talk about how we go about creating that removal of the scapegoating. If you want to, let me know, drop me a line. If there's a lot of interest or enough interest, then I'll run it. In the meantime, rayfreemanpsychotherapy.com, Ray Freeman Psychotherapy on Facebook, Instagram, Ray Freeman Official. That's brand new, and we're on YouTube too. So in the meantime, tomorrow will be another day, and I'm talking tomorrow about the development and how these two get formed, scapegoat and the... So a little bit more depth that I promised you at the beginning of today's chat. I'm going to do the depth thing a bit more deeper about each one tomorrow, and maybe some of you will recognize yourselves in them. That will be interesting, wouldn't it? In the meantime, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for listening, watching. Stay safe and well. Bye for now.